Hey everyone, it's Jonathan and welcome to the final episode of my coverage of the 2026 Julien Dubuque International Film Festival. Today, Nicki and I are covering what we saw on Saturday, our fourth, and the overall final day of the festival this year. I think they shifted everything by a day, so we didn't have anything on Sunday like we did last year, which was part of why I tried to get there early enough to take in a few things on Wednesday this time. Like I've tried to do in the other episodes, I will have some links to socials and trailers, but I will say there is one group that we talked about last year that was back this year with a new film, Crestwood Elementary. I'll be linking to their YouTube channel. As of right now, the film we'll be talking about today, Timun Mas, is not likely to be available as they are still doing the rounds to various festivals, but the short they did last year, The Mistletoe Dart, is available, so I highly recommend checking them out and then subscribe to their channel, and at some point you'll be able to watch this year's as well. Anyway, I highly recommend checking out all of our favorites. I'll have what I can linked in the description, but for now let's get into our final day at the 2026 Julien Dubuque International Film Festival. Our last day.
Man, it was not quite as full as yesterday.
Not quite. It was still pretty full, though.
It was. Well, we kicked off our day. It was yesterday was a lot of shorts and a few less features, or documentary/features. Today was a lot more feature length and a lot fewer, relatively speaking, shorts.
Yeah, we just had one short block today.
There were quite a few in there, but we'll talk more about that a little bit more when we get there.
Yeah.
So first one up was A Moment in the Sun, which talked about the solar eclipse in April of 2024 and a town that was at the, ended up being the best viewing availability for the total solar eclipse. A little place at the very edge of Maine called Holton. It followed a few different people that were, like, one was a business owner, one was a coordinator for the activities. There was an astrophysicist on hand that just happened to live there, and kind of coordinated talks and understanding of kind of what was all going on.
And a couple that were getting married during the eclipse.
Yeah. Which, I don't know, that could either be a really good thing or a really bad thing.
I don't know. I mean, it worked out for them, so.
It did. 2 years later, they're still together, so good stuff for them. Yeah, it was a really, just a nice, solid documentary.
Yeah, it was just an interesting look at a very short window of time during a very specific event.
Absolutely. And I know both of us have worked, well, you are currently working in media, I did work in media. We've both worked in those events where you have to get it right on the first try. And you can totally see kind of that level of energy you have to keep to be able to do what you need to do and get those shots that matter.
Yeah.
It was really interesting, though. They covered a lot of both the good and the bad, the sweet and the bittersweet of the event for people and their reactions. And it was well done. And I don't know. It looks like a really nice little town to go to.
It does, yeah.
So next one up was called What the Hell Happened? I think this was probably my favorite of the day.
I think it probably was my favorite also.
Yeah. It's
kind of hard to gauge it against shorts because there was one really good short that I really liked. But I think this probably was my favorite of the day.
Yeah. The other one, the short that we'll get into in a little bit, was adorable just because it just was adorable. But yeah, so What the Hell Happened was the story of a guy who went on to become, I guess, like, he has his own production company. He obviously works in production across the board. He's worked in Hollywood. He's kind of worked a little bit of everything, really. So the story of What the Hell Happened, the guy behind it had I think it was 5 people that he was really good friends with in college. And he lost, over the course of time, like you do with friends in college, you kind of lose track. And over the course of the past 10 years, sort of?
Well, from the time, he filmed sort of a going away thing, at the end of college. So this is 30 years after the fact, because I think the initial interviews had been filmed in 92.
But yeah, so as of 2021, they would have been in their 50s. Late 40s, early 50s.
Yeah, 50s.
And some of them he hadn't kept track of real well, and others, they kept closer track just given where they lived. And
one of them is his wife. One of them is his cousin, so he knew where they were.
Yep.
The others he kind of had to track down, even though he sort of kept in touch with them over the years, like once in a great while.
Yep.
But yeah, he knew where his wife was, obviously, and his
Ideally
cousin,
speaking. So he did, like, they got together in 2021 and then, like, 2023 and then 2024, I believe. And, I mean, the stories were, you know, it kind of broke it down by chapters as to where they were in 2021, and then the things that they were up against. Like, there was cancer diagnoses, there was all of the stuff that life throws at you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of it, and it was just the passage of life and kind of expectations versus, you know, where you end up. And
it was just really well done. Like, it's a really simple idea, but it was really well executed.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great interviewer. So he talked to the people both back in 92 and nowadays, the few times that he talked to each one, like following up. He asked great questions. They went and did different things, and it was just really, really well done.
It was. And, like, visually, it was, like, I know we talked a little bit about the graphic work. Like, the graphic work was kind of set up like a scrapbook.
Yeah, the animation and transitions and different things. It just gave it a really unique look. It elevated it beyond just a simple set up a camera and interview your friends type thing.
And it wasn't just talking heads. And all of them were just dynamic characters.
Yeah.
Like, just very, very interesting people that had been through a lot and had various levels of success in various aspects of life. And there wasn't, like, a specific influence on, well, you know, I worked here and I worked there. It was more kind of, like, it was general, but it gave you what you needed to be able to see the people for what they were.
Yeah, they were just normal people.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were big, famous people. Like, even the guy who made it, he's not like a famous person in Hollywood. He's probably more a behind-the-scenes type thing. Like, I think the biggest thing he talked about working on was the reality show Hoarders.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure what he did on Hoarders, but I don't think he was a face in the channel.
No, definitely not. He was definitely on the technical end of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was, I think they said they had, even from the 92 stuff, there was something crazy like 40 hours of footage or something. Mm-hmm. Which with any documentary, you're going to have more than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was incredibly well done. And there was a lot of comments from the crowd because the director, his wife, and then 3 of the other guys that they interviewed were all there. And, you know, some of them were semi-local, but like Matt and his wife were both from away. So, I mean, they didn't come from just down the street. But you could tell a lot of the people that kind of came up through that era, it resonated with them.
Yes.
I mean, that's Gen X, the classic Gen X.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was really, really well done.
Very well worth searching out whether you're of that age or not. Because I think it resonates. I mean, they were real straightforward about it. They're like, you know what? Because one of the questions that was asked was, you know, are you happy with where you're at? Or has life been good? Mm-hmm. And the answers were about what you'd expect, but still just to hear them from someone that's on camera. And they were just very straightforward.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
The next thing that we had up was a short block that was all young filmmakers. And in this case, they technically have a separate area for students. Like, there were other blocks that had student stuff, but this was specifically young filmmakers.
Some of it is students, but I don't know that there was anybody there. We had to leave, didn't we? So I don't know who all was there.
Mind Over Matter was there, and I believe Way of Life.
Okay, so I don't know if they were students or not.
I'm not sure. And they didn't specifically say, they were listed specifically as young filmmakers. Now, one in here is obviously student, but the rest is kind of up in the air.
So the first one up is called Backstabbers.
Kind of a Knives Out type of a thing. It was
kind of a spoof of Knives Out.
100%, yeah. And it was sort of dark comedy, sort of thriller, sort of suspense.
I would say dark comedy, mostly, because I didn't feel very suspenseful. I kind of knew where it was going, but...
Yeah. Well, you had your Benoit Blanc type character, and there was a really great twist with him. Like, you can see it coming, but it was still a really fun twist.
Yeah.
They even had a character called Dave that showed up, and that was kind of a spoof off of the guy that's staying with Edward Norton on the island in Glass Onion. So they had some fun bits. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a whodunit, kind of the leader of the pack character. That
kind of a classic mean girl gets murdered, and then it's like, who killed the mean girl? And it's all people who had motivation to kill her that are being interviewed.
Exactly. And then it's a question of, like, there's a lot of punny wordplay, and it was like the script was sharp.
Yeah, it was good.
Yep. I think of the shorts that we watched today, this was probably my number 2.
I think it probably was my number 2 as well.
Good stuff. Next one up was called Instant, and it was a boyfriend and girlfriend that were, I think they were in LA. I think they were in LA because they went by like the Opera House and a few other things.
Okay, yeah.
But the boyfriend had a Polaroid camera, and he took pictures of all this stuff, and they were talking about memory and how to remember things. He's getting a shot of something in the sky. I think it was a balloon, and he gets hit by a car, which that scene was actually very well done. Mm-hmm. But he loses his memory, and his girlfriend does everything she can to try to bring him back.
Using the Polaroids and camera.
Exactly. So, next one up is called Mind Over Matter. And this was kind of in that same vein of like not tragic romance, but sort of in that realm, I guess.
Yeah.
You had this guy who had a kind of seem like off again relationship with a girl. She ends up being in a tragic accident, and at the same time, he's trying to come up with sort of a time machine.
I don't know exactly how you would classify this. Like, this is not a time travel trope that I see very often, but it's the one where you travel through time by jumping back in your own body. Mm-hmm. So you have all the memories from your future self, but you're in yourself from the past. But in this one, it was odd because his past self and his present self were communicating with each other like they were two different people.
Mm-hmm. His mind was split, basically.
Yeah.
I do give them credit. They did a great job with the kind of visuals. The CGI was really well done. Mm-hmm. The acting was solid. Like, it was just an across-the-board, very well done student or young filmmaker piece of work.
Yeah, it was.
The next one up is called My Recollection, and this felt like almost like a 2-person stage play more than it did a short.
Was this the Romeo and Juliet type one?
No, this was the, you have the husband and wife who were out to dinner.
Oh, yeah. That one was so short, I forgot about it.
That's why we have a list. So there's a husband and wife, and it's one of those things where the husband looks about 10 years older than the wife, which obviously can happen.
She looked like she was like 16, and he looked like he was like 26.
Yeah, if not more. But, I mean, there is some room for...
I mean, I figured it was... I was thinking of these as student films, so I just assumed that this was...
Yeah.
I don't know who made it. For whatever reason, I was thinking it was her that was making it. I could be wrong.
And the thing is, with some of them, they don't necessarily have credits.
Hey everyone, just breaking in here to correct a couple things. I'm fact-checking as I edit. Number one, despite our confusion about whether this was a young filmmaker's block or a student block, it was definitely both. Every short in this block was made by students. The previous film, Mind Over Matter, was, I believe, entirely written and directed by and starred a 16-year-old, Wes Tian, and then his co-star, Shayna Yukana, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, was actually the director of this current short, My Recollection. So if we mention young filmmakers anymore, just know that we did not need to make a distinction. These are all student films.
But it was a husband and wife that were celebrating an anniversary. They had clearly been fighting, and all of a sudden, the husband leaves the table. He's found dead in the bathroom, and the wife goes, oh, well, it could have been the waiter. And then beforehand, you see her slip something in her purse while she's getting ready and is practicing her sad widow voice. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, it was very short. Like, it was very obvious what was going on. Like, that was one reason why I was thinking of this as a student film, because this didn't feel like something that just a regular filmmaker would do because it's so short.
Oh, yeah.
It was like 3 minutes max.
It had a very simple story, though, too. Like, it didn't need to be long.
Yeah.
But...
It was well done for what it was.
Yeah.
But like I said, I completely forgot about it because it was so short.
The next one up was, I think, for both of us, our absolute favorite. And yes. I'm going to let you say this because I'm going to screw it up.
It's Timun Mas. Was it Javan?
I believe so.
A Javan legend or fairy tale. It's one of those fairy tales where a woman wants a child and then goes to a mythical creature and is granted a child with strings attached.
It's Thumbelina.
Basically. But this one was, the little girl was born from a cucumber plant, and then the ogre that gave her the seeds to grow the cucumber plant is going to come back in a certain amount of time and eat the girl. And they have to fight off the ogre. But this is one, like, we talked about one last year that was done by elementary students. This is that again, the same school.
Absolutely.
And it is really good. Like, these are elementary students doing a full-on animated short feature. Voicing it, animating it. I think he wasn't there to talk about it this time, but last time I believe another class scored it also.
Yep. Between the 4th and 5th graders, I don't know if it's a class per se or something that they did weekly, but it's a year-long project where the 4th graders are responsible, with supervision obviously, for some parts of it, like specific bits, and then the 5th grade are responsible for other bits. Voiceovers are all done by students. You've got multiple models for each character done by all the different students. They have all the different mouth movements and their eyes blink at everything. Incredible work.
It's so good.
It is. And it's such a unique way to teach. Because there's no way that students at that age would be learning about, they might learn Greek and Roman mythology, but to get more in depth on all of these other myths and legends from areas of the world that you may not consider normally.
And incorporating that into a class, learning how to animate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, these are kids.
Yeah.
And they do such a good job.
They absolutely do. And it's everyone in the class is involved.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, the one last year was amazing. I think it might have been a tad longer, but the story was incredible. Like, yeah, it's...
And funny.
Yes. Adorable.
Yes. Really funny. Last year they had a joke where the short was interrupted by an unskippable YouTube ad. This year they did something similar, but they worked it into the story in a way that was, like, hilarious, because the mother goes to a hermit to try and find a cure or something to get her daughter out of this situation with the ogre. And the hermit gives her 4 bags of stuff.
It's like seeds, needles,
fish paste,
and something else.
But like the bags of stuff are literally called bags of stuff. But then as the hermit is giving her the bags of stuff, they're interrupted by basically an infomercial for like what you would get for like a drug ad, like talking about all the side effects of the bags of stuff. But then the infomercial was animated differently by using like collage magazine cutouts. It was just so creative.
It was so fun. And just the little extra addendums too, like the ogre is drowning in the fish paste that made everything mud, and he goes under, and then you just hear this bloop, and it was so cute.
These kids are really funny.
They absolutely
so creative.
are, and they play into it, which is amazing. Okay, next one up was, so we went from absolutely adorable to just gloom and doom, which.
This was the Romeo and Juliet one?
This was the Romeo and Juliet one. So it's called Where We Left Off. And there's 2 seniors that are supposed to be going to the same college. And the girlfriend finds out that the boyfriend didn't make it in. And she accuses him of lying to her because he had been drinking with his friends. And, if she can't trust him with this, what can she trust him with? And then he had been going through a lot to start with. So she leaves. He goes out into the river and presumably passes away. She ends up taking a bunch of pills and passing away in the bathtub, and it turns out that he's alive.
Yeah, and that's where it ends.
Yes. So again, another tragic, very Romeo and Juliet-esque.
As soon as he appeared to have drowned and she's dying in the bathtub, I was like, I bet he's not dead. I bet this is going in a Romeo and Juliet direction.
Yep.
They didn't end exactly like Romeo and Juliet ends up with him finding her dead and then him killing himself. So it didn't quite go that far, but it was basically the same, where she
Right.
thinks he's dead and then kills herself.
Absolutely. I mean, it was well shot. And
It was really well done.
Yeah.
It was just a downer.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But, teenage angst.
It really felt like a teenage angst type thing.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, when it started, like, even with the title, it reminds you of, like, those Mandy Moore movies from, like, the early 2000s. Like, the tragic romance kind of thing. Only I don't think those ended in death. But either way. The last one was called Way of Life, and this one was kind of an outlier. Not that
This one felt like a student project, like a social studies project, rather than a short film.
Agreed.
It was sort of a documentary, I guess it could be classified.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it was sort of, I think you've got it right on. Basically, it was a whole bunch of different students and teachers with either backgrounds or they themselves were from somewhere other than the States. So everything from the Ivory Coast to Mexico to South Korea. And basically, the teachers and students answered different questions about where they were from, the things that they run into, a series of different questions, just
Questions about their culture,
Yep.
Things
Exactly.
they've faced in their life.
Exactly.
It was interesting.
It was very much. And then it ended with a Walt Whitman poem about traveling the world and being not inclusive per se, but like, because inclusive isn't the right word, but like the fact that people come from all over, they're not that different kind of thing. It was a cool little piece, and you could tell that they really put a lot of work into it. So,
Yeah.
and then the very last thing that we watched was called The Realm of Eldervin.
And this was a feature.
Yes, this was a feature. It actually was going on at the same time as the awards ceremony, which we'll get into in a little bit with some of the awards based on things that we've seen that won awards in some way, shape, or form. This felt very much, it's kind of fantasy oriented, very kind of Lord of the Rings inspired.
When you first suggested this one to me, I looked at the poster and thought, this is a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
I did too.
And it kind of was. Like, they did their own thing with it, but,
They did.
it was a Lord of the Rings ripoff.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, like...
It was very well done for an independent film, though.
Yeah, like, we kind of discussed it before we got into, obviously, recording this. With fantasy stuff, especially the sword and elves kind of genre, there's only so many directions you can go. Mm-hmm. And, anytime you put dwarves, men, and elves into a story... If you pull, a fancy sword out of the mix, you're going to kind of have that same thing. It did do a lot of its own stuff, and I think it had some success there.
I appreciated that they didn't try to make it a direct Lord of the Rings ripoff. Like,
Right.
It was obviously very inspired by Lord of the Rings, but they did their own thing with it. Mm-hmm. And for what it was very well done. Like, seemingly all shot on location in some really great-looking places.
All in England. Well, England and Wales.
Yeah, and very decent for the budget special effects. Mm-hmm. Like, if this had been made in the 90s, this would have been fantastic. Mm-hmm. But it was so long. I was so ready for it to be over by the end.
Well, and we discussed it in the same way that Landlord, which we spoke about in the last episode, this, there was a lot of good. Technically, actor-wise, the place where this kind of hit some hitches was probably in, as you kind of said, the plot and the story.
Yes.
This and Landlord both would have made fantastic, hour, I don't know if you'd call it a short at an hour, but, a little bit more compact stories. Mm-hmm. And I hesitate to say this because I do understand it was a small crew. You only have so much time to be able to grab what you need. Mm-hmm. The limits of an indie film are genuine limits. And I guess trying to know how to hit something out of the park and be within those bounds is not always a simple thing. Mm-hmm. Their crew was very small, but I would say a good 50% of this felt like the Two Towers, like the joke about them spending the entire time walking.
Yeah, kind of.
When stuff was happening, and there was some decent fights, there was very good CGI, excellent shooting and everything else. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on, But the rest of the time, there were things that you could have gotten rid of and the story would not have changed.
Yeah, there was a lot of things where things would just happen and it didn't really seem to matter to the plot. And sometimes things would just happen and I wouldn't really know what was actually happening.
Yeah.
Some of it was a bit incomprehensible.
Yeah, and it's hard to say, again, having like a director there might have been able to shed some light on some of those elements. Mm-hmm. But at 8:00 when the thing is like the award ceremony is going on.
If they're here, they're at the awards ceremony.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I don't want to say too much about it because this, like, technically, costumes and locations and the way that it's shot, the way that they did the CGI, the way that they handled the villain had a very unique look to it. There was a lot of good to this, but the script needed tightening something fierce.
Yes. For an indie film, it looked amazing. Like, far better than you would expect something like this to look.
Absolutely.
It's just, it was so long.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the thing is, like, my background is obviously on quite a lot of not so great movies that a lot of them either run independent or they're like movies that you would see on Sci-Fi Channel. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of movies that follow the same kind of fantasy trope.
Yeah.
And I am not judging it against them because this was so well done. Like,
I went into this expecting a Lord of the Rings ripoff, but thinking it was going to be better than that, but fearing that it was going to be like an Asylum film.
Right.
This is way better than an Asylum film.
Oh, yeah. Not even in the same ballpark.
No. Asylum is
cheap and...
Yeah. Asylum cuts all the corners. This cut no corners.
Then, in fact, it actually probably, for the good things, needed to cut something.
It could have cut a few more corners and maybe tightened things up a bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, this is way better than any Asylum film.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, they completely aimed for the fences for this.
You could tell this was someone's passion project.
Oh, 100%. Well, the one of the main guys behind it, he did everything. He was also one of the main actors. I think he directed, he was an executive producer. He did editing. There was a few other things that he did as well. In addition to playing, I think, not the main lead role, but one of the major roles. So, it was a small crew. For all of the things that were going on, they had a large crew of extras, but the main cast or the main crew was very small.
Yeah.
And you look at the scope of this. Mm-hmm. I don't know how long it took to make, but it was impressive on a lot of levels.
Yeah.
So
it looked very impressive.
It did. It very much did. Yeah. So as far as awards went, we kind of scrubbed through the awards ceremony on YouTube and found a couple that we had seen. So Best Young Filmmaker Award was Mind Over Matter, which was in our short block today. Was the guy goes to the future,
the time
travel one. Best short honorable mention went to Something Greater Than You, which was
The Felted Raccoons.
Yep, which we saw yesterday and it was on the animation block. Audience choice was one I had seen called Driftless. Basically, it was a horror anthology. I saw it before John got here. Mm-hmm. It was a fantastic wraparound story about a guy that works at an antique store and every piece in there has a story. And he told 3 of the stories, and then the 4th item is both at the beginning and at the end as part of the wraparound. And it was done by a local filmmaker who also works heavily in video production. It was incredibly well shot, gorgeously edited, just across the board. Really, really excellent movie. But I think because it had a hometown crowd, I don't think it was not going...
It kind of swayed the vote a little bit.
Oh, 100%, yeah. But it was... Despite those connections. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then honorable mention for documentary feature, Last Picture Shows was also the winner there. Mm-hmm. So we saw a couple that were, woohoo, so yes.
I still say Soapbox needed to win something.
Oh, agreed. That was so good.
Like I said yesterday, I didn't think anything was going to beat it, and nothing beat it. It was the best thing that I saw this whole festival. It was so, so, so good.
Well, that does raise the question in retrospect. What would you say that were your top 3? Short or feature? Or if you need to break it out, feel free to break it out.
I mean, Well, obviously Soapbox. Timun Mas is probably right up there. I really like those little aliens. Prote or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Prote was excellent.
Yeah. And then documentary, probably What the Hell Happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's probably it.
I could see that. For myself, I'm kind of with you. Like, I think our interests are kind of in that same realm. Final Conflict for me was...
Oh, that could be an honorable mention for me. Yeah.
That and Soapbox were probably my top two shorts. Mm-hmm. Timun Mas was right up there as well, though. And then Prote was just fun. Mm-hmm. Of the things that we saw, Last Picture shows was probably...
That was way up there, too.
Yeah, that and What the Hell Happened were probably my top two documentaries. I don't know, for feature film, they were all pretty solid. Like, there was a couple I saw earlier in the week. One was called Narcissa's Will out of Brazil that was incredible. Very slow burn, but it was this daughter who's cleaning out her mother's house after she died, and it kind of deals with grief and trying to define yourself against what your mother is and everything else. It was a very well put together movie. Mm-hmm. And the main actress plays both the mother and the daughter, and it's incredibly well done. So I think that's about it for me. Oh, Driftless too was awesome. Like awesome movie. So yeah, I think that's that kind of puts to bed JDIFF 2026.
Yeah, it went quick.
It did. It very much did.
It didn't help that 2 of our days were pretty short, because just a couple things when I first got here, and then our first official day we only saw 2 things, but then the last 2 days were packed.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is, you don't, as much as you need to fill in those times, you don't want to go see things that don't necessarily trip your trigger, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could have packed in more stuff, but we didn't want to just see things to see things. We wanted to actually want to see them.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, movie burnout, even if it's good, is still movie burnout, so...
I mean, that could have been part of what made... What was the last one called? Eldervin?
Yeah, I think that probably was part of that was probably part of it.
I think I was just kind of ready to be done for the day, because it was like approaching 10 o'clock, and it's like, when is it going to be over?
But yeah, no, I mean, I think it was a really solid couple of days. We met some really interesting people.
Yeah, talked to some really cool filmmakers.
Absolutely. Yeah, I look forward to doing this again next year if you're up for it.
Yeah, totally.
Rock on. Good stuff. Well, thank you for joining me, John. I appreciate the fact that you came all the way here. It's so nice to have someone to watch these with and to discuss them with.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Before last year, I'd never been to a film festival, and now I love film festivals. Yeah. It'll be fun to continue doing them.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I guess see you next year.
All right. Bye! We won't see you between now and then, though, clearly. Wink.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. All of our links will be in the description below. If you'd like more podcasts like this one, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you'd like to support this show, check out Johncast Media on Patreon for everything here, plus bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.